First at 5 o'clock, another day out of service for some Southwest planes.
The airline blames mechanical issues, and now those problems have trickled down to passengers, with 40 flights canceled and delayed across the nation. WFAA's Teresa Woodard is live at Dallas Love Field, where Southwest customers felt these issues, plus bad weather out east. Teresa.
Yeah, John and Izzy, Southwest says the vast majority of the delays and cancellations you see here on the board at Love Field are because of weather issues. However, maintenance issues did cause some of these problems. That might sound somewhat frightening for customers. There's a lot more to this story.
February, Black History Month. Drums keeping the rhythm for flyers at Love Field. But the big board directing passengers shows just how out of rhythm Southwest Airlines seems to be. More than 1,000 delays and cancellations system-wide today. The reason? Bad weather, bad planes, or bad blood?
I think the passengers may be caught in the middle here because of the ongoing contract dispute. But when you're dealing with flying, it's not like riding in a bus where you can pull over if you have an incident.
Billy Clark is a retired Air Force major. He flew military planes for 22 years. Now an aviation attorney in Dallas, he's closely monitoring Southwest's current predicament. The company is experiencing an unprecedented number of aircraft taken out of service, double the normal number on Wednesday, by employees noting maintenance issues. It was enough to declare an operational emergency in Dallas and 3 other cities. That declaration puts tight restrictions on when maintenance workers can take time off. The maintenance union calls that intimidation. The union and Southwest are in the middle of a contract negotiation, and the company questions whether these maintenance problems are legitimate safety concerns or just attempts to draw attention to the dispute.
Southwest has a strong record of having been one of the safest airlines around. With that being said, passengers do have a right to be concerned.
Clark said ultimately pilots like him decide if planes fly, and passengers can trust if something's wrong, liftoff won't happen.
Now, here's Clark's best guess. He says this situation coming to light could quite possibly put enough pressure on both of these parties to come to an agreement sooner rather than later. So, John, Izzy, his hope is that this all gets taken care of and any spring break travel plans don't get impacted.
Yeah, spring break. All right, thanks a lot, Teresa. Right now,